Difficult to know quite where to start. Yes, you're right. Spurs started very brightly, and I thought they were the more aggressive side, played with more confidence, got their noses in front. But as we all know, Mourinho's sides are never a pushover. They might not have been fluent this season in the Premier League, but look where they sit in the Premier League. They're second. They're in the semi-final of the FA Cup, and actually...
Well, in the final now.
I'm talking... They're in the semi-final, and they truly believe, Mourinho probably more than the players, that they will get in the final, and they just get it over the line. They just get there.
I thought personally, as the game was going on, Man United looked more comfortable. They were winning the personal battles all over the football pitch. And it seemed like Spurs had lost a bit of somewhat. I mentioned I didn't think Harry Kane looked fully fit to me.
No?
I didn't. He just didn't seem to be moving as well and causing Man United's problems. And Man United's big game players, Sanchez, who's not been in best form, Pogba, they turned up today. They played big parts in the game. Man United had more big game players out there today than what Tottenham did, performing at the highest level as the game went on. Yes, Spurs started brightly, but I tell you what, Man United grew into that game and played a bit expansive football at times. I tell you what, the first time I've seen Lukaku for a while, running him behind, giving Pogba options to play balls over the tops, down the sides, because that makes such a difference for a midfield player, likes of Pogba, who has that vision. Today, he had options looking forward, with Lingard, with Lukaku making runs. And for today, that was a very good Man United performance in the end, all over the pitch.
I think if you look at the two squads, Manchester United have a deeper squad. And they should have. Look at the money that they've spent on their squad in comparison to what Spurs have spent. If you look at Spurs, who plays up top for Spurs? Harry Kane. If Harry Kane's not fit, Llorente, but he wasn't even on the bench today. So what do Spurs have to replace Harry Kane? You look at Manchester United, they've got Lukaku who plays right up top. If he's not available, well, actually, they can play Sanchez right up top. If he's not available, they can play Rashford right up top. Well, all three of those featured in today's game, for example.
Yeah.
There is a not a gulf, but there is a difference, a big difference between the two clubs, the two squads.
Yeah, and I also feel, that when you're playing against Man United, when you've got Smalling and Jones, if you're throwing balls into the box, it's what they do.
Yeah.
They like that kind of game. You've got to be... In the first half, Spurs got some joy down the sides of them, cutting balls back, looking for feet. Against centre-halves of them two, it's what they do. It's what they're good at. Jones and Smalling are good, solid defenders. You've got to work them better in the channels. You've got to work them round the bodies, get the ball into people's feet, because otherwise they're just going to do what they did today, clear things.
There was a study done a few years back which showed the amount a team spends can almost directly correlate where they finish in the Premier League. I know it's a different competition, but are you trying to say that in order to really be competitive, Spurs, they have to splash the cash? I mean, United's record signing is £89 million. Yeah. Spurs haven't spent... Their record signing isn't even half that.
Yeah, and I think it's Sissoko, isn't it, on about 30 million they paid for him. I totally agree with you. The more money you spend on players, in theory, and generally speaking, as long as your recruitment is right, the better the players you buy. Of course, they have to be the right players to fit into a team, to gel together, etc. But yeah, there's a direct correlation. And Spurs haven't spent the huge money because actually they don't apparently have the huge money available.
Do you think, because they've got Harry Kane, they didn't want to go out and spend on a marquee signing because they didn't want to upset Harry Kane a little bit, because he's the main man, isn't he? But that's an area we've just mentioned. They're struggling.
There's two sides to the money aspect. One is actually spending the 90 million to buy the marquee player. The other one is paying his wages.
Yeah.
And if you buy the marquee player and you pay the marquee wages, then what about everybody else in your squad who isn't on anything like that type of money? You somehow have to bring them in line. So by doing it with just one, it sets a whole chain reaction going, and suddenly your outgoings, your wages, your salary goes through the roof as well. Spurs have just invested, or in the throes of investing, something like £800 million in a new stadium, which is medium, long-term investment. But actually, to win something, I think they need a little bit of now investment, i.e. the next transfer window.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you look at Pochettino, he's playing players to develop, You know, Mourinho buys players, the finished article, who've been there, seen it and done it. I think Tottenham need a few more of them in their side. And they're going to have to get the checkbook out at some point and make this marquee signing, or a few, because you can bet your bottom dollar this summer that all the big guns around them will be improving their squads massively. And, you know, Tottenham don't want to get left behind when it comes to that.
And wages for their current players as well.
Yeah,
Toby Alderweireld being the biggest.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's their best defender, me personally. But obviously, you know, the wage demands of people. And I think the thing is, he knows he can probably go to Man United or to Chelsea or to whoever else and get that kind of money. So in a way, I think there is a little bit of greed in it, and there's no loyalty because the club's obviously looked after you for so long. But at the end of the day, you can maybe see Tottenham losing more players if they don't address this now.
Yeah. Well, you know, you have a look at the prime example. Kyle Walker decided he needed to leave Spurs, earns a load more money at Man City, and guess what? He wins the title.
And the League Cup.
Yeah.
There you go. So, you know, there's a little bit of a precedent that's been set there. Well, a large precedent that's been set. And I'm sure other players in the Spurs squad are looking at it. Now, I'm not trying to, you know, create a major issue here that maybe doesn't exist as big as I'm feeling it might. But, you know, it's a difficult time for Tottenham Football Club at the moment. As great as it has been, the progress that is under Maurizio Pochettino, where he's finished 5th in the league, 3rd in the league, 2nd in the league, looks like it's going to be top 4 this season as well, made further progress in the Champions League, but, you know, is it enough to satisfy the current players who, there's a lot of the Spurs players who other clubs would like to have, for sure. It's a real difficult dilemma.